Yo, what is good, dev guys? It's your boy Kane. Yes, sir. I'm back with another tutorial. I know you guys are probably thinking, damn, bro, this is like the fourth first-person shooter tutorial that you have done. I just want to let you guys know, I don't know if y'all know this, but I'm making a first-person shooter. So I have been studying and trying to find and testing out and working through different processes, trying to find the best workflow to get my characters rigged, animated, and in the game engine as fast and efficiently as possible. I started with control rig, just doing it directly inside of Unreal. That is not an efficient way of doing things. It's hard to animate. It's hard to iterate on the rig. There's a whole lot of tools missing that you need for a good first-person rig. So I put that one to the side. I also use Blender's Rigify, using the samples, setting up the rig piece by piece. And that is a great workflow. Don't get me wrong when I say that. And if you can't afford this add-on that I'm about to tell you about, definitely look into doing that. I got a tutorial on my channel on how to get that set up. It's a great workflow. But I needed something faster. I needed something easier to work with as a solo developer, where I don't have to do manual placement of the bones and I had to worry about rows of the bones and stuff like that, just so my rig worked like that, you know what I mean? And I don't know if you guys know about this add-on. It's called Auto Rig Pro, and when I say I've been sitting on this is a gold mine I've been sitting on. I bought it last year, like July 2020. It's a gold mine I've been sitting on. I ain't used it yet. So the thing about this is, when I first got it, I didn't understand the add-on. I didn't understand rigging. So I was messing up. I was trying to rig arms that look exactly like this. And when you're using the add-on and you're using the process that I'm going to show you, you have to have a full mesh. So this is a complete first-person rig. If I go into pose mode here, I got a weapon control bone that is not going to be exported. It's just the weapon control bone, and this bone moves everything in my rig. You see everything moves with it. And there's also a weapon bone, and I'm going to show you guys this, and why you need it is because this bone just follows the transforms of this bone, right? So this bone is aligning my weapon a certain way. It has everything set up perfect to where this gun is lined up like this. This bone right here, this CC weapon bone, just follows this bone. So when I take this over to the engine, all I have to do is attach my weapon, which is going to be this gun right here. All I have to do is attach it to this bone and it'll line up exactly how it is right here. And that saves you from having to deal with sockets and trying to move the gun precisely inside the engine, which is damn near impossible to get right. So I'll show you guys how to set that up and get that done with this add-on. So I'm going to leave a link to a Google Drive file where you can get this same mesh that I'm using. You just go ahead and import it into your project, start a new project, import it, get it all in there, you know what I mean? The one thing you want to make sure is that your scene units are set to 1. I know a lot of tutorials for Unreal Engine and Blender tell you to set it to 0.01, but you do not need to do that for this with this add-on. I don't even know if you need to do it anymore at all anyways, because send the UE4, I think it sets the units for you. So if you're not using my mesh, you need to make sure you got a couple of things set up. When you press 1 on the numpad, you need to make sure that your mesh is facing you. In order for this process to work properly, your mesh needs to face you. So if it's not rotated so that it's facing you when you are in the front orthographic view, and you need to make sure that your rotations are zeroed out, your location is zeroed out, and this is set to 1. So go ahead and apply all. Just press Control A, apply all. I got the extra pie menu set up here because I'm used to using Houdini, where I got a pie menu for everything. Yeah, so apply all, and we're ready to start. So I don't know if you guys, I got to show this just in case there's some people who are going to buy it just to follow me here. If you buy the add-on, you don't know how to install it, you need to go to Edit, Preferences, Install, go to where you downloaded and unzipped. This is not one of the ones where you just you download it and you send it through, you need to unzip the one that you get when you buy it, and you need to go inside of it, and you need to install this Auto Rig Pro Master, and you need to install this proxy picker. Now, there is this rig tools here. If you are installing this Auto Rig Pro Master, do not install this. This is for your person in your team that is strictly animating. This is according to the documentation. I might have read it wrong, but it said do not install this and this together. Excuse me, got a burp there. But yeah, don't install this if you're going to install this. Install these two here, you should be good. You know, once you install them, they'll pop up here, then you just enable them by clicking the checkbox, and you're ready to go. So you want to select your mesh, make sure you got it selected or you'll get an error. You want to go to the Auto Rig Pro menu tab over here, and you want to drop down this Auto Rig Pro Smart. Now you could say add empty, and you could do this exactly how I showed you guys in the Blender Rigify tutorial. You can set it up to where you place the bones one by one and set it up yourself. But that is a lot of manual work, and if your mesh is pretty decent, doing it this way I'm about to tell you now is solid. Like, it works almost 100% of the time. So we're going to do smart. We're going to say get selected objects, and we're going to click here where it says add neck. You're just going to go to the base of your neck. Don't want to show y'all the base of his cack. You want to go here and make sure it's at the base of the neck. And then we're going to add the chin. You want to go to the base of the chin, add the shoulders. You put them right there where the shoulders are. Add the wrists. We go here and add the wrists. Now, you don't have to go like to the side view and move them. This will work fine just in the front view. You're good. So add the spine root, which is normally like around here by the belly button. Then we're going to add the ankles, and that is right here. Okay. So pretty much ready to go. You could do a facial setup, but since we're doing first person arms, we're just going to skip right over that. Go ahead, hit go. This is going to take a couple of seconds to run the algorithm. It's pretty quick, but you got a completely finished rig here, ready to go. This is a great armature for a rig. Now you want to make some adjustments for things specific to Unreal. Go to your top view. You need to grab these right here and move them forward just a little bit so that they stick out like that. And you also, if this doesn't have 4 spine bones, you need to go ahead and set it to 4. Unreal deals with 4 spine bones. Let's check our arms. We got a good bend in the arms. You need to make sure there's a good bend in the arms. Make sure there's a good bend in the legs, even though this doesn't matter since we're doing first person arms. But say you wanted to duplicate this rig and just use the process that I use to make it first person, but keep a third person rig, you would, to save yourself some work, you could just go ahead and get everything set up here, duplicate this rig, and then do the next steps I'm about to show you. So now that we got this all lined up how we need it, all we need to do now is click this magical button where it's called match to rig, and it'll create a control rig for us. This control rig is a very high level rig. Man, it has every type of control you need, like shoulder. This rolls the shoulder. You got neck roll if you want to get sassy. You know what I mean? You got foot roll right here. Like, you can roll the foot up, down. Like, this is an advanced rig, and then to do this on your own or using Rigify would take a couple of days. If you're working on it daily at like 8 hours a day, it'll take a couple of days, maybe even a week, because you have to go back, fix things, test things, go back, make it right. You know what I mean? This is working right out of the box. So now what we need to do is bind this skin here, we need to bind it to the control rig. And this will actually bind it to the deform rig, not the control rig. So it has a few settings that you can use. Heat maps is best for meshes that are like this, like where everything is sealed. It's a closed mesh. There's no openings. Like I don't have a shirt on top of him that has open holes. This is best for that. If you had some openings, you would use voxelize, but in the documentation it says to use this just on the open meshes. Don't use it for closed meshes or things that like the fingers or anything like that. It'll mess up. And this is a paid add-on that apparently is the best way to do it, to bind your mesh to a rig. It paints the weights perfectly for you. I haven't tried it out, so I can't talk about it, but I probably will invest the $30. I probably will invest the $30 and go ahead and test that out for you guys and give you my opinion later on. You got a lot of options here that you can mess with, but we're just gonna skip over these. You can read more about these in the documentation. He goes in depth about everything. So yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and click bind. This is gonna take about 40 seconds. So I'm gonna fast forward through this part. I know I do my tutorials raw, but I'm gonna fast forward through this part. Okay, and we're done. You see it said it took 40.6 seconds to bind to this mesh. If I go in and I test out everything, you can see, baby. You feel me? I drop that dick on the bitch. You dig what I'm saying? The binding right here on the legs is kind of weird, but you will go in and you will weight paint that to where this leg doesn't affect that leg and that leg doesn't affect. I'm pointing with my finger, so that this leg doesn't affect this leg and this leg doesn't affect this leg. But yeah, we got a pretty advanced rig right here, man. You can play with the tools, you can play with the controls if you want to, but I'm gonna go ahead and go on to the next step. I'm gonna set this to in front so that you can see all the controls from every angle. The next thing we want to do, and this is an optional step, you don't have to do this. It's best if you do this, but you wanna just press in on this window and then press in on this window. And we wanna go to the miscellaneous tab and we want to add a picker. This is going to give you a specified UI to this rig that you can kind of turn this armature off and still, okay, I'll just show you. So if you set the picker cam and then press in on this, the best way to do that is to have another window specifically for it. So do that, and then over here you can turn off armature, and then you can select things like here. Am I wrong with that? I guess that's not how it works. Okay. I was completely wrong with that. But yeah, this is a way to select the controls without having to, I guess, touch them over here. Now that I turned off armature, and I don't know what this is for. Okay, so but this is like the rig UI basically. So specifically what I use it for is I just turn off all the controls that I don't need by highlighting them. Shift select, and then I press H, and that gets rid of all the controls that I don't need. And with that, I go ahead and just close this window, to be honest with you. I don't need it right now. So now that we just got everything set up for the arms, we could just add the extra bones, but I'm gonna show you how to get it to the point, and I'm gonna show you the quickest way how to get it to good first person arms. So select the mesh, go to edit mode, make sure that you're in vertex, select mode, and make sure you got X-ray on as well. And you want to select this ring right here and this ring right here, and then you want to press X and delete the vertices. And now we can select anything here and then press L. I press K. Press L to select the linked mesh to that. Then do that over here. Shift select and then press L over here and press H to hide those. And now you can just select all of this, press X, and then delete the vertices. That is a quick and clean way to get some some very solid first person arms that are ready to go. So we just get out of well, first make sure you turn off a fucking X-ray so that you can see your mesh in solid mode, and then go back to object mode. And now we got our first person mesh set up. If we wanted to double check that everything works, just make sure you go to pose mode. The mesh is working perfectly. Everything seems to be moving how it needs to be. It could be weight painted a little bit better, but we're in a good spot. So one thing that you can't do is, like, you can't add the extra bones during that stage where I had the reference bones that I was adjusting, where I moved up the shoulders. When I was at that stage, you can't add extra bones at that point. That is specifically just reference bones so that this control rig can be created. But after you create this control rig, you can add whatever bones you want. So just select the rig, go into edit mode, and now I can add those 2 bones that I was talking about. So make sure your cursor is set to the world origin. Shift S, cursor to world origin if you don't have it. And then press Shift A, it'll add a bone for you. And then select this top piece and press Shift S, selection to cursor, and then press G, Y, and move it back on the Y axis. We want this bone to be aligned with the world because it's easier to animate if this bone's local is global. You get what I mean? It just makes more sense if the bone that's controlling the weapon is on a global scale. That means when you rotate on X, it'll rotate on X. Rotate on Y, it'll rotate on Y, and the global Y. So we got this. We need to nickname this. We need to make this our weapon control. And don't put the CC in front of this because we don't want to export this bone. We're just using this bone inside of Blender. Then you want to, let's say we want to add another bone. So let's just Shift A, add another bone at the world origin. And then we want to go to the hand bone. Where is it? Is this the hand bone right here? Yes, C hand FKR. So we want to get that bone, and we want to set the cursor. Actually, I want to set the cursor. Can I select that? It's not selecting that. Okay, so let's just set the cursor over here. So Shift S, cursor to select it, and that'll put it there. And then go here, select this bottom piece of this bone, and press Shift S, selection the cursor. Oh, that's the wrong one. And for now, just hide this bone, just so you can select this bone that I'm talking about. And you can just select the whole bone. Press Shift S, selection the cursor, and then press Alt H to unhide that bone. And then we're just gonna rotate this bone 90 degrees. Oh, not both of them. We're just gonna rotate this bone 90 degrees on the X. So move it. Why is it moving? Okay, rotate on the X. You can press G and R and X, but I got the gimbals already there. If you hold Control down, it'll move it five increments at increments of 5. So now we got our hand bone. We have our weapon bone connected to our hand, but it's not parented. So you need to click this bone, go into the bone properties, go to relations. Let me make this bigger. And we need to set this bone's parent. Just type in hand, and we want to look for hand R. Make sure that this is not connected and that it inherits the rotation and local location. That's fine. So we also want to just make this a little bit smaller. It doesn't need to be that big. We can make this smaller too. I don't know why selection takes so long in Blender. Like, I select something and then boom, it selects afterwards. I gotta figure that out. Like, why is it taking so long? Listen to when I click, and then that's when it selects. That is a long ass delay. I gotta check that. I got a pretty good CPU and GPU, so I don't know what the problem is. But yeah, now we got our bone set up. We need to go to this bone and rename it. We need to rename it CC because in the documentation, any bone that you want to export that's custom needs to have a prefix of CC underscore. So we're gonna call it CC underscore weapon bone. And we're pretty much done inside of here. So go back to pose mode. You see we got these bones. They look all weird, but you can change what they look like inside of the viewport. Just go to bone properties, viewport display, and then I think I used the curve for this one. Yeah, and then you could scale it down. That's 0.5. And then for this, I think I used the arrow 3. Yeah. And then 0.3. Oh, whoa, that's too small. Maybe 0.5. And now you're pretty much set up and you're ready to go. This is a solid rig. I can show you how to get to the point where you have the weapon in the hand and everything is working perfectly. So whatever weapon you're going to use, you need to import it however you get it in. For me, it's in another project. So I'm going to append it. And so I need to go to where it's located, which is in here, source files, weapons. I recommend you guys take the first person animation course on the Blender Market. It's $30. I'll probably leave a link to that in the description as well. It is a great course, and you get to test out and you get to work with some good weapons that are already ready to go. You see, this is fucking, let me go to let's go to frame 0, because this has an animation where it transforms into a sniper rifle. So we just get rid of that real quick. But what we want to do here is we want to select the armature and we want to go down to object constraint. Now there's other tutorials out there that tell you to parent this rig to the rig. Even the tutorial that I'm telling you about is pretty old. It tells you to parent this gun to the rig, and then you would animate this rig along with the arms rig. So you would say you make a reload animation or idle animation, you would animate this rig and animate that rig. I feel like that's a lot to keep track of. The only real animation that you need that the weapon will do is a reload, and maybe the fire animation where the ejection moves and the bolt moves. Those are the only two things that you'll need to animate for this, and you could just animate those whenever you want to. So you want to select the armature and add an object constraint, and we want to make it we want to copy the transforms of this rig, select that rig, and then we want to do our weapon control bone. So since these bones are both in the same spot, it doesn't move. But if I go to pose mode here and I move this, see the gun moves along with that. And that is what we need for the first part. And before you do this next part, you need to get the gun in a good spot. But actually, you could go ahead and select that weapon bone and add a copy transforms to that one. We want to select the same rig, select this rig. What the hell? Oh, it's object constraint. Okay, I'm tripping. Go to bone constraints and add a copy transform. Select the rig and then type in our weapon control bone. And you see that that bone snaps to the origin of this bone. So now when we move this here, our weapon control bone or our weapon bone will move with it. So now before this next step, you want to get the gun set up in a decent place. So I'll just move it manually like this. Let me minimize this, move it over here. We rotate it. Want to get a good, want to get a good grip on it right here. I go to 1, press 9 to go to the back side. Get this lined up as good as we can, as quickly as we can. Oops. Let's zoom in on that. I kind of hate Blender's navigation system, how it works. Really wish it was like Houdini. But beggars can't be choosers, and I do not like rigging or animating inside of Houdini. So we do it here, maybe rotate it a little bit down like that. No, maybe rotate it like that, and then move it like that. So it's a good grip. You want to get a good grip pose. Usually what I would do is I go with this bone selected. I'd go inside of here and create a pose library, call it my character underscore poses, and then save it. And then I would, for just this bone, I would add a new pose and call it rifle holding. This is exactly what they teach you in the class that I took. It's a good process. But that way you can always get the weapon back to this point. So if I was to press Alt G, Alt R, I could go back to that point just by pressing this magnifying glass right here, getting back to that pose. So this next step you want to do is, now that the gun is set up in a good spot, you want to click on this IK control, or I am mistaken. Okay, so right now we're in FK, but what we need to do is we need to parent the that is actually right. We need to parent this FK bone to this that's wrong. Okay, so open up a new window here, and we want to get that picker out. So go to ARPG miscellaneous, and I think we can actually just press O on here. Oh yeah, okay. So just press O on this new window, and you want to select this IK control here, and at the same time go to item, and there's a switch that you need to turn to 0 so that it's an IK. We want to do that for both hands. Go to 0. So now we're in IK, and we're going to parent this IK control. Go ahead and close all this stuff up. Parent this IK control. Make it a child of this weapon control bone. I keep losing what I'm trying to say. Let's go child of, select this rig here. What am I doing? Need our picker. Select the rig and then type in weapon control bone. Whoa, set inverse. What was that? Hand blew up. But yeah, so we got that. And then what you would do is get this weapon control bone, and you'd set up a good position for the initial hold pose. You'd also have a camera set up as well, but this is just to show you guys that it's not that hard to get this set up with this system. So we're here now, we got a good hold pose, rifle's in a good area. You would now parent this, or make this hand a child of the right hand. Let's get the rig and type in hand, and we want to go hand R. And now whenever we move this, we'll move the entire, we'll move everything that we need to move. Instead of moving, like say you parented this gun to this hand, whenever you move this hand, if I move this hand, the gun would move, which makes it hard to animate that in the instance where you want to, say you want to position this hand a little bit differently on the weapon. You couldn't do that without moving the weapon if the weapon was parented to the hand. But now that the weapon is parented to a weapon control bone, you can move the hands freely, and gives you a little bit more leeway when you're animating things, like when your character is twitching or he has different things that he does with the gun, with his hands. It just gives you more control You have a lot more freedom when you don't parent. I got this shit in gimbal. Uh, let me put it on local. Yeah, you get a lot more freedom when you don't do things that way. Yeah, so as a basic, idle hold, I tune this up a little bit more, but if I had my camera out, you would see that this was a pretty good idle hold. But yeah, that's how you pretty much set up a rig. How long was that? 31 minutes? It probably took us about, I want to say, probably 15 minutes to get the rig set up, even though I was talking through it. If you were just burning through this, not having a conversation with an audience, it'll take you like 6 minutes to set up a rig. Like, you put the objects there and you hit go, and boom, you got a rig. You bind it, boom, you got deformation in the mesh, and then you delete the parts of the mesh that you don't want, and you got a first person arms rig, and you're pretty much set up and ready to go and start animating. I'm using this right now for mainly Unreal Engine, but it does work with Unity. I guess I'll go ahead and show you guys, go back in there, show you guys that you could export this rig out, and it is ready to be what they say retargeted. You can retarget this rig to the Unreal Engine skeleton. So say I had some animations that I bought off the marketplace. I would just export as Out Rig Pro FBX. I set this up to be Unreal Engine and humanoid, and all of these settings are fine. Units, this is why you set the units to 1, because it'll set up the units for you. We want to do add IK bones, rename for UE, and mannequin axes. I'm not sure about this. This is a new setting, so I don't play with it, but I'll just export this same name right here. Matter of fact, I'll call it 1, and I'll export it. Let you know that it was exported, and then I'll go to Unreal right here, and we can just import it into my prototype test. You see, I've already imported one that works perfectly, but we'll make another folder, call it YouTube. That's YouTube, but I don't care. Import, and we'll do that test ARP1. Make sure this is all set to default. It'll work perfectly. Import all. You see no errors, no message logs, except for smoothing groups, and that's because. So if I go back over here, if I go to export, whoops, wrong one. Export Out Rig Pro FBX. I need to go to miscellaneous and set this to face, and then we'll do it like that. So I re-export it out, go back to Unreal, and we can go and re-import this. It'll re-import it, and now you see that message is gone because we put the right normal method on there. So that being said, we can go here to the rig, and you see it has basically the exact same hierarchy as Unreal, as the Unreal skeleton. It does have a different pose, but that is honestly not a big deal. One thing you need to do is show the retargeting options, and you need to, from pelvis down, you need to set this all to skeleton. So recursively set translation to skeleton, and then the pelvis needs to be animation scaled, and the root needs to be animation, as well as these right here. You can go ahead and apply that to asset, save, and then we can go to the retarget manager and select the humanoid rig, and then make sure we save the skeleton. Now we're ready to retarget animations. So if I go to where I have the first person, just the animation that come with the basic first person template. You can go in here and just, let's do the idle, right click on it, duplicate anim assets and retarget. And I know that this skeleton won't pop up, so you just got to click here to toggle this off, and then go to your test. ARP1 is the one I had. We could change the directory, so I just go to prototype, YouTube, said okay, and then I'll retarget this animation. And it'll say that it was duplicated and retargeted, and you'll see if we go in here, let me focus on it and move the camera speed down. If I go here, you see that this is pretty much the exact grip minus a few tweaks. Like if we go into the actual animation, it might look a little different. Let's see, first person animations. Let's see how different it looks. Okay, the grip is the same. Look, that is the same. So you pretty much have a one-to-one retarget with Unreal Engine's already set up Unreal Engine animations. There is a little deformation problem right here with the wrist, but that's not a big deal. But yeah, man, I think that's everything. That's all I can think of right now. If you got any questions or suggestions on different workflows, or you just want to chat, man, hit me up in the comments or join my Discord. Follow me on all my social medias, man. I usually check those every day. Other than that, I appreciate y'all for stopping by, man. See you on the next one. Peace.